We start on a dog.
Duster's in the house.
He's here every Friday.
What up, peeps?
How's it going? What are we going to talk about today?
We're gonna talk about the main painter system briefly, and kind of I think like what we've gone through doing Kickstarters.
Oh, that's good.
I
I
like-
like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot for a half-hour live stream.
It is a lot. Kickstarter is a beast, and not just because it's Kickstarter, but because of all of the other things that happen.
Right.
When you do a Kickstarter.
And it's a revenue stream, and there's a lot of thoughts about it. People have backed a ton of Kickstarters.
Yeah.
There's shipping problems. People charge more for shipping after lately.
There's
Us being a manufacturer in America changes that model for us than like CMON or something else,
Sure.
some other
We're-
company that builds board games.
getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about the mini painter first, briefly, for a couple minutes. Those of you that are on the inside of the preview link have checked out the Kickstarter. We have a ton of different species now. We're going live on Tuesday at 1 Eastern. It's pretty cool. It's been a while since we've launched a Kickstarter that's broader and has like an innovative product.
Yeah, we haven't opened up the tiers this much.
Yes.
As far as wood availability, there's a lot of SKUs, and we've done very controlled, not that this one won't be controlled,
Certainly.
but a lot of very controlled single SKU screen offerings with a accessory pack or something like that, which is, this one's a little bit different. I think we're kind of we're dipping our toe back in the water on this one.
And I think the last 2.5 years, because there's been so much dynamism in the economy and like there's social things going on, and there's a lot of uncertainty because of
Oh, fucking turmoil.
COVID, a lot of turmoil.
Yep.
And I think it was intentional, but it's also subconscious. We went and we were very conservative. We were like, okay, we're gonna just take a very measured step, sort of out of necessity. And it reminds me when we were shut down for almost 12 weeks at one point.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting in just like experiencing all of that as a business owner. And you have to overcome it. You have to like grind through that 2.5 years of nonsense. And I think we're at a point in the last couple of months, like we released some furniture, we're innovating again, and I think this is like a really nice capstone. Like we're done.
Yeah.
We kind of crested the mountain.
I think you saying nonsense is pretty apropos in the situation. It was very odd, and a very odd situation for a business, and we're still small. People, it's so funny because some people think we're like fucking Coke, and then other people think we're in a garage still, and we're very much in that large segment of the middle in between that. We're very much a small business still.
Yeah.
And we feel the pains of that turmoil, of the larger waves. We talk about this a lot, that like Christmas, or the holidays rather, that's something large that we can't control, and there's very little we can do to impact holiday sales. Like they're just gonna come because they're gonna come. Because we're a business that is reputable and we've been doing it for a while, but there's very little we can do in Q4 to affect those sales, because they're just going to come.
I think it's prepared.
Unless we close down Christmas.
Unless we cancel Christmas.
Unless we cancel
which
Christmas.
is never going to happen.
That's
It's
never going
stupid.
to happen.
But I think it's about like kind of seeing the bigger picture and riding the waves, because we're going to do what we do. Like we just
It's impossible not to.
blow smoke up my own ass, but I'm like, we try to continue to innovate. The staff is awesome. We invest in the culture. We keep pushing that envelope. But if there's bigger things at play, the economy's like in the tank, and it's a bear market. And
What's the worst day we've had in 3 years? January 6th.
January 6th was the absolute worst day we've had.
$0 day.
It was the worst month we've had in 3 years.
Yep.
Which is great, because
we did better when we were closed.
We did better than we were closed.
When
the week of January 6th.
The business was physically closed. We said we are closed on the website, and we had better sales than that month because of political turmoil.
And I love it because it tells me that our customers are sensitive.
Right.
And if they're sensitive, they appreciate like the finer stuff that we're doing.
And we know that. We know what our customer base is.
Yeah.
And It's it's pretty strict. It's 28 to 45, college educated people generally.
A lot of you have kids.
A lot of people that have kids.
People with kids.
So it's not the traditional gamer that you would imagine.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just not.
It's just not. These are people that are diving into their hobby and with reckless abandon.
I love. I've always been an outlier most of my life, and I love.
That's a shock.
Yeah.
So you've been an outright liar?
No, an outlier. Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers. Go read it. And I think about this a lot in the product and in like the crew. Like we watch a lot of like Simon Sinek is awesome, like a business guy. We tend to try to keep up on that and read some books. And this idea of we have the ability to protect creatives, like protect creative people, protect our craftsmen, to like double down on the craft. And I think it's really fascinating and very rewarding. Even through all the turbulence of the last couple of years, like most of our crew is still here.
Yeah. I think protect is an interesting word because I think it's almost a place to foster it.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that protection when you foster someplace and keep it held close to the vest, kind of?
It's interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have this like unspoken rule where we're like, we don't hire normies here.
No, we don't. We don't hire people with experience either.
We don't. We're not normal. We're both outliers. We kind of fell into this and fell into it, but with a little bit of attention. And I love coming to work and getting up every day and going like, I can go in there and like people feel good about coming to work. People love coming to work. I'm like, that is the best thing ever, man. I was 35 before I liked coming to work.
Yeah.
And I'm 25 now.
I'm happy and sad for you when you made that comment. Yeah, one of our employees, Owen, I had a meeting with him last month. We rotate meetings all the way through once a month. I meet with everybody. And Owen was like, it said it's the first job he was excited. He woke up and he was excited to come in. Like, that's a fucking compliment.
It's pretty cool.
I will take that as a compliment.
Went to school for 4 years. Did you live here?
That's all Madison does.
Are you happy to come to work, though?
I'm very happy to come to work.
Why is
It's a hell of a drive, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you like your job?
oh yeah.
Why?
Yeah. I mean, I get to create. I get to hang out with a lot of cool people. I never.
That's us. You're talking about us,
Mostly Brian. And Sawdust. I always be myself and feel comfortable, and you guys can, give it as well as you can take it.
Yeah,
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, it's just such a curious thing.
Let's talk about Kickstarter because
Yeah.
that's kind of
So,
I know a lot of people that out of the 4 people watching this, 3 of them have backed to Kickstarter before.
There's 8.
There's 8. Out of the 8 people watching this, 6 have backed to Kickstarter before. Kickstarter is a very interesting beast. It is a revenue stream. It is a marketing platform, and it used to be ideas on a napkin.
yeah.
And it is no longer that whatsoever. It
very
is a
commercial.
pre-order marketing platform. And we made the conscious decision about 3 years ago to get away from that as our main revenue stream. There's so many problems inherent in that stream
Yeah.
that we had to build our retail, just our normal retail reach, because Kickstarter's so volatile. And it worked. It was a long road to hoe,
It was, yeah.
but it certainly worked. So now, one of my thoughts, because I see a lot of our customer service conversations and our talks, I'm aware of the PR that we put out, and we've been very staunch about not opening up a wide open Kickstarter again. And we're doing that this time, but I think it's a little different.
Oh, absolutely. And my beef with the Kickstarter. I love Kickstarter. It's a great platform. It got us where we are today. From a business perspective,
Both good and bad.
yeah, certainly. I want predictable, I have people to pay, I have rent to pay.
Mhm.
I want predictability, I want stability. I want to know that this is a good month, this is a good quarter, this is a good year. And the interesting thing with Kickstarters, you can't predict that. We've had a $500,000 Kickstarter, and we've had a $15,000 Kickstarter.
Right.
And that discrepancy is so,
It's pretty big.
it's so volatile.
$485,000 difference.
It's huge. And in terms of like being accountable, being responsible to people who work here, and to our fans, and to families of everyone that are here, I would much rather have a predictable day every day
Right.
than do that. Now, having said that, to come back to your point, we're in a space where we're like, wow, everything is really predictable.
Right.
And we've cleaned everything up. We don't have any backlog.
Right.
In the next week, we're finalizing. Spinners are done. Legacy trays are done. B2B is done.
Yep. We've got a
And so-
couple B2B Kickstarter projects, but
They're
that's
small.
pretty easy to handle.
Yeah.
We're
so-
talking about 3 screens a week, basically, for 4 more weeks. So
And we're transitioning into this model where, like, holy cow, we have the ability to produce all the stock, and like everything's jamming. I'm like, well, that's great. Now's the time
right.
where we fulfill everything and we do one. I often observe a lot of business. They will continue to go back, and we're guilty of this too. When we were not stable, we went back to Kickstarter over and over and over again.
Because we had to.
We had to.
We had to.
And
frankly, it's the Ponzi scheme. It really is a Ponzi scheme. If you're mismanaged, you have to go back to Kickstarter because you need a load of money to come up and
to pay for the last
to
Kickstarter.
pay for the last Kickstarter.
Right.
If you're not managed well, which we weren't. We weren't. But we are now.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference.
I agree. We're far more stable now, and it's more about, instead of looking at like what can we make in the next 30 days. It's like, okay, if we launch the mini painter system, and we have these conversations, we spreadsheet all this, we do like huge amounts of data analysis. I'm like, all right, well, if this happens to blow up like component collectors, and we do $250,000 or $500,000, there is a plan in place to make sure we can pull that off,
Right.
and not have to go back to the well
Right.
halfway through.
And we know what we can promise
Absolutely.
and what we can actually deliver. And
Because when you make those promises, like we did with Coco's, you're like, hey, I'm going to get you 200 units a month, and you don't, and you don't, and you don't. And when you miss those targets, it all piles up. And then all of a sudden you're doing 50 a month, and now you have more customer service issues. You have, like, your staff is pissed.
Yeah.
Because they know what's down. They know what's going on.
Right.
They know, like, we're not hitting the goals. And
and the optics of that,
it's terrible.
like, if you're transparent at all, the optics of that are brutal.
and
That was one of the worst times of our life. Was
Absolutely.
clearly was that.
well, COVID was rough. Coco's was rough.
I think Coco's was worse than COVID.
Well, but
If that tells you anything, we were closed. And I
That's
think
fair.
Coco's was worse than that.
Although we transitioned during component collectors, we moved from my garage to like a facility. Like we got this money, and we're like, well, let's go to the next stage.
Right.
And we didn't know what the hell we were doing, and I think we blew like $200,000 moving to this facility. I'm
Yeah.
like, there's
In a month.
all of that's
In a
gone.
month.
You know?
That was crazy.
And a lot of it boils down to like experience.
I remember some guy, it may have been Zox, I'm not sure, it might have been somebody else on the Coco Kickstarter. And he was like, seen this happen a couple of times, guys. Like, pump the brakes.
Yes.
Like, don't blow it all. And I totally ignored that, basically.
Yeah.
I totally ignored that really good advice.
Because we didn't know any better.
We didn't know anything.
And that's
And
why
we thought we were there. We thought one project that gets you this revenue, that means we're a company making this revenue a year.
No.
And that is not true.
it is not true at all.
One order.
It took us 5 years after we did Coco's, and we're like, oh, we're $1 million a year business.
Yeah.
It took us 4 years to get back there.
Right.
Like 4
It's
years.
insane. We've had that conversation where our revenue stream has to match our expenses.
It has to.
And that was not the case for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And that was brutal. And now we're finally there.
And there's kind of like some business acumen that is like, all right, and I'll just round some numbers off here to make it easy for everybody. You start in a garage.
Mm-hmm.
You do $1 million a year. That is a different business.
It is.
And we talked to like venture capitalists and
Shit,
other
before we
investors.
did Coco's, we were 250, 280,
We went from
280 to
$250,000
1.2.
to a big 4x.
Yeah.
And we were lucky to live,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
I don't want to alarm anyone. We're far more stable now, but
Yeah.
it's the steps through of that are $1 million is you can run a business. 3 million is a different business.
It is.
It's a different business. 5 million's different. 10 million's different. 25 million's different.
Yeah, we've had
And-
investors come in from investing groups, and they espouse that same exact idea, and it absolutely makes sense because the level of management you need at a $5 million company is immensely different than one at 10. And we don't even know
No.
exactly what we don't know about a $10 million
We're smart
company.
enough to know
That we don't know.
We're not smart enough,
Yeah.
and that's why
I'm definitely smart enough to know I'm not smart enough
and
right now.
we've been talking about if this.
I also
if this,
think that you're not smart enough.
Yeah, well, I agree. I agree. I'm an idiot. I am. But if this thing blows up, we've been talking about like when do we cut it off?
Oh yeah.
Because if it gets too big, we don't want to get into trouble again.
And that's an odd point that because we've talked about doing Madison. I'm talking to you now. We've talked about
My first Kickstarter.
limiting. We've talked about
I
limiting.
know. I've learned so much here.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Brian.
Very nice.
We've talked about doing controlled Kickstarters for about 2 years now. That's been our MO. We've been set on it. This time we're opening it up a little bit. So I don't want to give people the impression that it's not a controlled Kickstarter because we have done all the metrics on that production waves and how much we can do. I know exactly what we can do.
What do you mean by controlled Kickstarter?
A lot of people will just open it up wide open and go, let's do as much as we can. Let's sell as much as we can. That works really well for game companies that get manufactured in other countries because they can just order more. It might delay it a little bit, but we manufacture here. And we have to make every single piece. So we have to control that based on our production timelines.
And we hire humans. We hire more humans to make this
Right,
stuff.
right.
And it's not just a number on a spreadsheet that you like ship off to China or
Yeah.
India or whatever to order more and make more money.
And they can scale quick. These are
They
massive
can.
corporations.
It's huge
That can
factories.
take 10,000 units of a board game, or they can take 15,000. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't change the timeline much. For us, that's huge.
It's
It's enormous.
you have staff and you have to have management. You have to
Yeah.
have
Leadership.
all of the intricacies and the leadership especially
Yeah.
in place, which is why you've probably heard this before. Too big, too fast.
Right.
In American manufacturing, to like
Do a simple Google search on too
No.
big. Like the worst case for a small business is too big, too fast.
absolutely.
Absolutely, 100% true. And we've felt that. We were lucky. We were lucky to get through what we did. So, back to my original point, we were talking about how is this going to be limited, and I'm kind of excited in a weird way. We have an internal number, an internal level. We're looking at about a year of production that we have planned out, and I think if we hit that year in production, we are gonna stop the Kickstarter.
It's a tough question.
We're gonna stop the Kickstarter, which I've never seen done before. Like, and it's a tough
It is.
thing to do for us because if it takes off and it's crazy, it's hard to turn down money.
It is. My instinct is to like
Yeah.
sell as much as you can, but
Right.
we've gotten burned so many times
Right.
doing that.
And I feel comfortable going out about a year in production from launch. Other than that, I'm good to stop. And there's another aspect to it that a lot of people don't consider is that because the more we sell, the more production the longer our timeline is. That means it's a very good product that we can't sell on retail.
Yeah.
And retail money is just better money than Kickstarter for a lot of different reasons.
Absolutely.
I would much rather sell a really popular product on retail.
Stable day to day.
Correct.
And you can control it. The problem with
Do we control our lead times then?
absolutely.
The public forums are less. So I love the comment section on Kickstarter, but once that starts to turn, it's tough. And we actually answer comments on Kickstarter,
Yeah, right.
and
The customer service is actually pretty good here.
it's pretty good, and we actually respond to comments on Kickstarter. People don't, and I don't know how the fuck they get away with that, but that's a little strong, I'm sorry. But I'm shocked, because that's one of the tenets of that platform, is that you're contacting directly the creators of that project. And people don't respond on there, and which is just crazy, but it's public. And
Sure.
we have customers that have been pissed off at us. Every company in the whole world always does. And we take that very seriously. We answer them, but it can get toxic on a comment page pretty quickly. And you have to have somebody on there. We had somebody on Coco's for 4 years, every day, answering every comment, no matter how bad it got. And that's part of
Space 101.
It is.
101. That's the reason you're there, is
Right.
to interact with us. That's why you want to buy from an American company. You want to buy from humans.
That's why you're willing to take the risk on Kickstarter too. Is that you
Absolutely,
actually
yeah.
have a conversation with the people that are creating it.
Because you can go to the mall if you just want to have like a transaction without humans behind it,
Sure.
and just give your money away.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. Go to the mall and do that.
Yeah.
But I think our industry and our niche, I think people want to talk to people.
And they
man.
want a community. Our industry is all about community
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
That's why Kickstarter works so well. That's why the games category on Kickstarter is the biggest category on Kickstarter.
Absolutely.
It's because our industry loves community. They
Yeah.
want interaction. They want people talking about how to make something better, and we are going to lean into that. Whether we're failing or succeeding.
I think at the end of the day, we are generally legitimately empathetic humans.
Yeah.
And I think our culture reflects that.
Mhm.
And we're like spend so much time like developing the staff, talking to everyone like humans, man. Like it's
Yeah.
not a factory. It's not like produce this much or get out.
Mhm.
It's like, hey, what's going on with you? Like, are you okay?
Right.
And like I think it's a much
We said that. Have you said that to Madison today?
I don't
She
even
seemed a
talk
little
to
down.
Madison.
We've talked
She's
so
kinda-
much today.
Yeah, we have.
You seem toxic every time you walk by my office.
Britney Spears.
I know.
Toxic.
Yeah, why
Yeah,
is that
Britney
song
Spears.
always stuck in your
I
head?
don't know, man.
It's like every Friday you're singing "Toxic" by
It
Britney
started-
It
Spears.
happened like 2 days ago.
It started last week when you
It
were
did.
on vacation.
No,
with
it's
us.
been before that. It's
Oh,
just
it's
that.
you. It's when you went on vacation.
I heard it a lot last week.
Yeah,
He missed you.
Toxic. Don't slip in. But I think it's, for me anyway, and I think this is probably the same for you. I'm like, it's not about the money, man. Like
Mhm.
my win is that I get to fucking protect people that love this company.
Mhm.
I'm like, man, I don't need the money.
Mhm.
I wanna solve the puzzle and win the
You
game
crypto rich?
and expand. No, I don't have any crypto because that's fucking gambling, and that's irresponsible. I would never gamble anything on this company in fucking crypto. Are you kidding me? That's insane. No, because I have to pay families.
Mhm.
I pay people to keep their families together. That's
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. And I think fundamentally, being an empathetic fucking human is a difficult long play.
Yeah.
It is, but it works in the end. It really does.
Yeah,
And
I think so.
we're so lucky to be surrounded by a team. I've had a couple of beers, so I'm getting like a little,
You're
bubble.
tearing up.
a little bit.
You're tearing up a little. That's
But
all right.
just to like grind for so long, and have people go like staff go like, this is really cool.
Mhm.
Like you guys have really, thank you so much for giving me this.
That's good.
I get time off.
It's. I agree with you 60% of the time. But I think in this point you're 60% correct. But I think the other 40% is the crew. And,
Absolutely.
And it's the other parts of the leadership that are in place that
Yeah.
are doing it better and more consistently than we possibly could.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do it without.
And I think the culture becomes externalized.
Mm-hmm.
And like if we get somebody in here that doesn't fit the culture or is like has some some issues,
Like Brian.
they will the staff will police that, man.
They will.
Which is
Good.
awesome.
Yep.
I'm like shit. And like
It's pretty amazing.
yeah. I think it's a privilege to have the ability through all like the hardships
Mm-hmm.
and how difficult it is. It's always interesting.
Yeah.
and it's a privilege to actually impact people in a positive way.
And one of the things I say all the time, I know you've heard it, is all I care about progress. So we've fucked up many times, including earlier this week. But all I care about is progress, and all we have to do is like just get better, and the staff gets better, and everybody's pushing in the right way. We're gonna have setbacks because it's fucking life.
Nobody gets in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not about punitive measures.
Yeah.
It's about like, cool. Let's try it this way,
Mhm.
or let's all come and talk about this and figure out a better, smarter way to do it, or let's come up with some new ideas for this. I mean,
Yeah, it's
if you can
pretty
have a group of people fostering new ideas.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool.
It's really cool.
What did the people watching this think? Are they saying anything? Because
They're having
'cause we're just
discussions
kinda-
about black walnut and if they could get pencils made in them.
Also, they want to see you guys
So they're
run-
not listening to us at all,
Also,
which is
they wanna see
fantastic.
You guys run some ice cream through the.
Oh my god.
The bandsaw?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that next Friday.
Okay.
That was one of my favorite videos.
That was good. That was good. That was Derek. Right?
Erica says she wants ice cream, please.
Through the bandsaw or just ice cream to eat? After
I
it's
don't-
cut? Did you ever see that? It was on the.
No.
We
I
did
saw
a.
it, yeah.
It was a B2B for
Ice cream dice.
Kickstarter
Okay,
ice
first
cream
of all,
dice.
is it individual scoops or is it one of those big ass
carton.
like cardboard?
It's
Okay,
a
carton.
whole carton of ice cream.
Yeah.
Cart.
that sounds
pretty
less
good.
messy.
It was fun. Check out the pumpkin carving episode on
Okay.
Oh, I
YouTube
haven't
too.
seen that.
That was.
Did anyone eat the ice cream after? I mean, I guess you could eat around.
We had a
where the-
lot.
You need to watch the video.
Yeah, you gotta watch the video.
What are the black walnut questions?
Oh,
Someone wants to know, can they get, or can we have black walnut pencils in stock rather than only custom?
Yeah, we can do that. Pretty
probably.
easy.
Yeah, I mean,
Why does that matter? Because they want to see the grain.
No,
Because,
you wanna see what you're gonna get.
They're from Missouri,
Mm-hmm.
so they like to see.
They can
Show me state.
come to my backyard
Is
where
that
the
Missouri?
squirrels
Is Missouri
have
the show me
been
state?
I have no idea.
I might
dropping
be
black
totally
walnuts
wrong.
in it and growing more
Alright,
black
so let's-
walnut
right.
trees.
Send us an email to get AJ to make some black walnut,
Yeah,
and we'll get you some black walnut mechanical pencils.
by Friday.
Because this isn't a factory and we're humans. I mean, yeah, we'll do whatever you want, man. What else you want?
Robots
Hero-
could do it faster.
Hero would like you to sprinkle some zero cote on the ice cream and feed it to the people.
That
Zero
sounds-
It's way too expensive.
Zeracote is expensive. It's also a sensitizer.
Yes.
So if this is one of the weird things about wood is
Yeah.
there are sensitizing woods, and Hero, hopefully he'll learn this sooner rather than later because I think he's going into commercial production, if I'm correct. But some woods are sensitizers, meaning you can work with Padoke for 2 years. You work with Zeracote, then you work with Padoke, then you're all of a sudden allergic to Padoke.
Yeah.
Cocobolo is
Oh, it's
the
terrible.
devil. It is the devil. It did that to me, and it's brutal. I can't touch it. I can't look at it. I actually, saying the word Cocobolo, I feel a little. It's a little weird. My skin's vibrating a smidge right now.
There's
but
something with that combination of wood dust
there is.
that makes people.
Yep.
And we've had staff that are like,
We have
like they're
3 staff
flaming
right
red.
now that are dealing with that,
Yeah.
and it comes and goes. It's up and down, but it's serious. It's not debilitating, but it really sucks. It really
But-
sucks.
No Zeracote because it is 10 times more expensive than our domestics.
That seems
Like, it is-
wasteful.
It's the good
Sprinkling
Parmesan
it on-
cheese.
Sprinkling it on
Yeah.
ice cream.
It's
it
the
doesn't
real.
seem-
It's not the stuff in the tin.
Right.
You know, it's the you buy the wedge.
There was a really cool Zeracote set. This one right in front, Brian.
This guy right here.
Did you call him
Zeracote
Burn?
set. Brian.
Now, these aren't the flapping wings of the dragon.
I think that's
This is not the
black
Zeracote is.
Oh yeah, these are the ones in the video
Oh, it's
that you're gonna
gorgeous.
steal apparently.
Yep.
Zeracote is so nice.
I'm just gonna pick and choose whatever I want out of this whole setup, including the paints and brushes.
But it
Are
is-
most of those yours already?
No, we bought clean ones. The first round were mine, but then we purchased a bunch of clean sets.
Yeah.
So they'd look better for the pics, but they will be mine.
This is the hero. We've set this one up with the old school redwood table to like shoot a really tight hero shot for mini painters, which is coming Tuesday. I think we got it.
Yeah.
I think we got it. So, all right, cool. So we went through that. We went through the backstory. I think is it meeting time soon? Or
Yeah,
are we-
we're gonna save the live stream from the meeting because
Yeah.
people tend to drop out, which I understand because it's a work meeting
Can I drop out?
and it goes
No.
a little long. No. Life's all about choices, Madison. You can do whatever you like. So we're gonna say goodbye to the live stream from here. If you guys really want to see our meeting, let us know. But it's only internally exciting, and that might
Yeah.
be overstating it
That's a
actually a
little much.
little bit. So we're gonna let it ride.
They
Yeah.
can join the radio though. They can listen.
They can
Yeah,
listen to
it's
the
a
radio.
radio channel. I was thinking like we go over there and we ask everyone in the meeting first thing, like
Shit.
what class are you playing? Or like one question. So if you guys think that's cool, post some questions. And like really
Jeremiah
like
would like you to know that they are waiting.
They are
for you.
they're
waiting.
waiting for us. Oh my
Is
god.
it another joke? Because the last time they played a joke on us.
Yes.
Oh no! It
Thank
looks
you.
like the stream is about to drop.
Hey!
How terrible! Oh no!